But I guess before we get started in the chat, just if you saw the clips prior, just put a Y in the chat, just so I have an idea who was able to actually able to see the clips prior to it. Okay, good. That's good to know. Just one no so far, so okay, that's good. They had purpose so that you guys hopefully can see a little clearer, and then it'll cut some time with me and have to. Can you show me that again, Mark? So hopefully that'll help. All right, well, we can get started. Appreciate y'all hopping on, able to start a little early, and I'll try my best to get done by 8 and put a time limit on each clip. They have 6. The last 3, obviously, for you, most of you that saw it, they're going to have more discussion. The first 3, I think we can just kind of get through those a little pretty quickly. I don't want to rush through them though. If you have any questions or anything that you're uncertain of, make sure that you don't leave getting onto the next clip if you don't understand. But I think the last 3 are going to cause more conversation, which is fine. Before I want to dive into the clips, I did want to show this first, just to understand. I mean, most of us do, but some folks have been asking me to get stuff out of the rule book and the manual. So if we're going to talk about center tonight. So I'm not going to read it to you. I'm not a teacher, but if you want to go over it, basically just giving you the dependable position and then the movement at center. We should know this anyway, but some may not. But just getting back to the basics, back to the fundamentals. The drives to the basket, I'll go over in a little bit. I just took a picture out of the manual for it. But just so we make sure, the last Zoom we discussed on, the common theme was getting to dependable positions when we can. And we'll continue to touch on that through these. I will call them probably two referees each clip, like I did last time. I thought that worked pretty well. And then anybody else can add to, and I say add, not repeat. So just kind of we can get through it. All right. So I will go drive to the basket as well. I want to show this. Actually, let me show this as well. Again, I'm just taking pictures out of the manual just so we know this is this funky area in the paint. We've always said that everything in the paint, be patient to lead. Totally understand that. Nothing wrong with that. We want to pregame it, but we have to also understand that half the paint is also center. So if we look at that diagram, that's right out of the manual. Just so we know, especially drives to the basket, we want to be patient and let C take those. Secondary defenders is a different thing. It doesn't mention secondary defenders in the high school manual. It does in college, but we did discuss as a chapter that we need to pregame those. And I think if we continue to pregame those as secondary defender is leads, that's fine. It gets us, it makes us consistent. And then we're obviously refereeing that player the longest, and then our accuracy should be higher. So we did go over that on another one if you want to go check that out. Last thing I'm going to share is drives to the basket. Apologies, right here. Again, right out of the manual. I'm not going to read it to you. This is like page 74 and 75. But basically, just when it starts in your primary and goes to the basket, even if it ends up in someone else's primary, you need to stay with that and referee all the way. And it talks about passes and crashes, and we already went over that as well. So just to get our minds right and understand what we're talking about tonight, we get in the manual, we get in the rule book. That could obviously help us. All right. Hey, Mark, first, yeah, go ahead, Kenny.
Just, I just thought you made a great point, and I just want to reinforce it. It, like in watching these videos, let's watch getting to a dependable position. I mean, it is so key, and I just thought that was really, really important.
I totally agree. And there's times that we can't get that right in transition, but there's times we can. And I think that's been the common theme that we've always, if we can get to our dependent position and be stationary, our eyes are stationary, then we can adjudicate plays. Anytime we're moving, obviously, our accuracy is not as high. And we've talked about that. All right, let's go first clip. I'm just going to go in order on my little sheet here. So the first one I have Art Barboza and Bill Zabicki. So I'm hoping y'all can see it on here. You guys have got the first clip. And again, hopefully y'all have seen it prior to it. All right, here we go. I'll go back. This shouldn't be a long discussion. Just again, we're looking at center. Just talking about center. One more time. Center's opposite table over there. Last second shot. Okay. So we got Art and Bill. Go. Y'all can take it. And then anybody else want to add to them, feel free after they're done.
Go ahead, Art.
I'm sorry, I just unmuted it. My bad.
Okay.
Well, let me just expand the video a little bit. I'm having difficulty seeing such small figures. And keep in mind, this is just the first time I've seen the video, so you'll have to excuse me for a second.
Yeah, no worries.
What specifically did you want me to comment about this? You know, my position seems to be off the floor, maybe a little high. Looks like I mirrored the signal by the trail. Almost
Okay.
looks like I'm calling a timeout.
Bill, you want to add to it?
Well, I think the most important thing is that he was high. It almost looked like we had two trails.
Mhm.
All the players were going towards the basket, and I always say that you should at least be taking a step towards it to see what happens. The other thing is, okay, he's way off the court. If a place is not occupied on the court, you can move one or two steps onto the court. Particularly if it's a last second shot, there could be something that could mean the game say as that ball is going to the basket. And with most of the players deep, that lead is not going to see it all. The C then has the open big picture, but he has the opportunity to get a closer big picture than he is right there. And you know, again, I think most of these clips that we see, it's just a matter of if we get the position right, then we're probably going to get the call right.
Okay.
Can you run the clip, Mark?
So we talked positioning, correct? Right? Everyone agree with that? We mirror it. We're missing something though. I want someone to touch on it.
Anybody?
I'll go.
Good.
When the quarter ends, it seems like right after the shot, after he puts up his 3 signal, the mirror the signal, seems like he's waving off the shot.
Yeah.
Correct. This is like a common thing in our chapter where it's not a mechanic, right? That mechanic is right. That means we're not scoring the basket. I know what the center referee is doing. They're saying it's end of quarter. Well, the horn is telling us it's the end of the quarter. So yeah, it could be misleading, right? If this is an end of a game situation, it's a 1-point game. This is the game, and we come out and we end up using this mechanic. This is saying that we're not scoring the basket. So good catch, Mike. I think Frank, you on that as well. Everything else was good though. Positioning, right? We got 2 T's, need to be lower, can take a step on the floor. We just went over that on the. I showed it from the manual. What positioning? Got to be dependable position. Free throw line extender, straddling, and then you got to move onto the floor. 1 step up, 1 down. It says you can move 1 or 2 onto the floor. So positioning, everybody agree with it, but we did catch that, and it's something that we do a lot. I've seen it consistently. Just something that is mechanically incorrect. It also can be very misleading as well. It could be some miscommunication on the floor. Another thing I wanted to talk about is, let's say this was a end of the game, okay? What are we telling ourselves when this ball goes through? Anybody can take it, but what are we doing? This ball goes through the net. what's in your thought process? What should we be doing? And those type things. If let's say Green was down 2 and they hit this shot. Now they're up 1. What are we thinking about as officials? Anybody can take that one.
Block.
Well, you probably want to
think you got
make a decision whether it was good or not, given the time of the clock. If you're the one with the clock, right? And if the basket went in, or if the basket was shot, I guess before the clock. I think it was shot after or shot before the clock expired. Then you want to also signal that it was good or not.
Can y'all hear me? Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
This is Augie. After the made basket, they're going to press and they're going to want the ball again. Is that what we would look for?
Or a coach's timeout.
Okay. Right. So first thing we've got to make a decision if it's in or not, right? So we've scored it. Okay. So we got to make a decision if the basket's good. Obviously it is. So we mirror it. All right. Then I agree. If White is now down 1, we've got to have clock awareness. We've got to then peek over and it'd probably be, possibly Chris. Sorry, I shouldn't say name. Sorry. Trail is close, right? Center can peek at the clock. Obviously, Lee's not going to peek at the clock. Lee can take care of rebound coverage. If this coach is lower, possibly Lee could assist on a timeout. Then we've got to understand the clock. So if you look at this, and we've got to be better at this. I've done it many times. I know a lot of people. Let's just put 0.5 on the clock. Let's just put point whatever, right? We've got to be better on awareness. We can see that this ball goes through the hoop at 0.5. So we have to have that kind of awareness that we know that if the coach immediately calls timeout and we know the ball had cleared the net at 0.5, then we have definite knowledge to put 0.5 back on the clock, and the film would obviously support that. So we got to have some awareness as well. I think this was the end of the first quarter, but I just wanted to add to that. If this was end of game situation, we've got to be highly aware on that. Anybody else want to add to that till we get to the next one?
Yeah, I just want to talk about, we talked about getting in position, but the positioning is also based on your rebounders, right? So I would want that person to get, pick up a position that he's looking through players. And I saw Becky Marshall gave us like a handout, and it talked about picking one or the other. Like if you're going to pick the offense to know that they got moved, or picking the defense to know they moved someone. But getting in the proper position for rebounding coverage, especially when the ball is opposite your side.
Real quick, anybody? Marshall said it. Who's responsible for last second shot? High school mechanics. Anybody can take it real quick, then we'll move on to the next one.
The official opposite the table.
Thanks, Art. Okay. All right. Next clip, we're gonna go Brad Lockhart and Brian Sinclair. All right, so it'll be clip number 2. Appreciate the input, guys. Then we're just talking center today. Let's just stay with center. Did you guys see it already on before, Brian and Brad?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, well, I watched all
Okay.
6 clips pretty quickly.
Okay, then y'all go ahead. I don't need to run it again. Good.
Just initially, I think Steve's a little high. He's not free throw line extended when he sets up. And then I think he moves to get that open look, but then I think the lead comes over too soon on that, and he just stays there. I don't think they needed that rotation. C might have caused that to happen by moving up too high, but I don't think lead should have over.
Yep. Brian, you want to add to that?
No, that's a great point. And I was just watching that as you were saying that we have 2 C's in this situation. We have the one on the obviously the bottom of the screen, and then we have a rotation late. And that was really the thing that caught my eye. The one thing I like right here is the C is now taking a step up to gain position to see in between both players so he doesn't get straight lined, which was good to see. But great point, Brad.
Anybody else want to add to that?
Mark, the only thing that I would caution, and that's the move right now, as the C official goes out to get a better look. He opens his body away from the play.
Yeah.
So now he has to turn his head back, and he's now not in a natural position. If he opens up his body turning to the right and then takes that side step out to the left, now he's his body is towards the play. His head is towards the play. Right now, that's as he continues the next step, two things happen. One, it's a little unnatural. Two, when we start rolling it from the C position in that rotation, it's a quick bailout. As soon as the shot goes up, it bails out. So I would caution turning the body that way. I would open the other way so your body is open to it, not just looking, turning the head. I don't know. It just looked uncomfortable when I looked at it a couple times earlier.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to add to it?
I mean, I think he could have taken one or two steps as opposed to probably the three that he took. Just like Frank said, if he just takes a step with his left, he puts himself into a good position, but he takes 3 steps out onto the court just to get a look inside. So he could have really minimized that movement by keeping his head on the ball, just by taking a step with his left.
Okay, I've got it in the chat. All right, I look at this a little different, my personal opinion. I think that the center needs to take a step down to his right, but definitely got to move one way. I preferably think down, so I'm going to say right. That's my personal opinion, or left. So put L or R just in the chat real quick. L would be to his left, which he did, but maybe to Dwayne's point, maybe just one step, or put a R to your right. I just want to kind of get a feel for the group where we're at on this. So an L or an R. Okay.
Hey,
All right.
Mark.
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
And I think that all sets up where he initially sets up. He sets up high, which would cause him.
Exactly. So that throws him off. That throws you in the hole already. You're already in no man's land.
If he was
So
line extended, an easy step to the right would have been an easy play to get that open look.
He goes left because that's what he put himself into.
Right.
So that was the best position to get the best look. If he was where he was supposed to be, or in a better position at home base, a step and a half to the right, I think, is in the best spot. But from where he was at, he was already behind. So to make up for being behind, if he goes to the right, he gets straight line.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Or he gets into the play himself unless he gets off the court.
From where he was, the only move that he could make is to the left. If he's in a better position, maybe he takes the step to the right and he gets in a better position. But where he set up to begin with, left is the only place he could go.
Yeah. So it comes back
But you
to
guys really feel like
Venable.
he's too – you think he's too high? I thought he's in a good starting position. I just think it was bad anticipation. Not bad, just – I thought he was in a good starting position.
From here, Kenny, I think is what they're talking about. See where he's at now?
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? But go ahead, Glenn.
Why are we going to step out and make it 2 trails? Yeah, that's the first thing you're looking at right there. Most things, always better to have 2 C's than 2 trails. So your first move should have been to your right-hand side. Yeah, regardless of where he was at, should have hustled it down below instead of creating 2 trails.
Okay, so I think we're all on the same page that positioning, right, could have been better to initial setup. We should have got there and taken a step to his right. I agree. Okay. Someone talked to me about why do we think lead rotates? Okay, because I think to Brian's point, or Brad said we didn't need a rotation. Let's discuss that. Do we like the rotation? Do we need a rotation? Or why do we feel that lead does rotate? I'll play it from here and somebody different.
Hey, Mark, it's because I don't have my video on, but it looks like maybe the lead didn't feel his rotation was complete because he's actually walking up as the C is going high, and now he comes back.
Well, he completes his rotation. He goes. He completes his rotation. My question is, why do we feel lead rotates? We understand, and we'll get into ball watching in a little bit, but
Hey, Mark.
go ahead, James.
It just looks like he's rotating because he seems to be going high. Looks to me like he's just trying to balance the floor.
Okay, so you feel that C lead rotates based on C's movement?
Because if you watch when C takes that step up, if you look at the lead, you'll see he's just like a moment later he's stepping that way. To me, it just looks like he's trying to balance the floor.
I agree.
If you play it again, you'll see it.
Okay, so do we yes or no on this?
Mark. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Hammond. Go ahead, Hammond.
I
Make sure y'all
was just
muting
going.
yourselves when you're done. Go ahead, Thomas. It's too much
I
background.
was just going to say. I apologize. I just got off work. But looking at it right here, I say if he'd have waited a second longer, because majority of the players was on the other side. So if he rotates now, he leaving the trail now with 8 other players when the C has a one-on-one matchup. So I think he went a little too soon, in my opinion.
I agree. I truly believe, my opinion is, the only way lead rotates is based on C's movement. C comes high, and now lead's like, oh, I better come over. Just because C comes high does not mean that you have to rotate at lead. You still have to referee your primary. The problem is lead is ball watching. We can see right now lead is on the ball, right? So then C pops up, that makes him then rotate. But to your point, Hammond, I totally agree. There's 8 players on the other side. The ball gets swung back, and then we have a drive on now C side on the opposite, and then we put our new C in a bad situation to referee that play. I know someone put on here about that center initiated a 5-second count that we rotate. There's nothing in the manual that says that. So I know we discussed that on a previous group chat. There's nothing that says that there's a 5-second count that lead needs to rotate. Now I understand that means there's a competitive matchup and there's pressure over there, but in this exact situation, it's a one-on-one matchup. So lead does not need to rotate in this situation. Nothing to do with the on-ball count. They need to understand where all the players are, understand the ball awareness, but know where the players are. So he should have just pinched the paint right here, stayed, then just wait to see what happens. To Hammond's point, I agree. As soon as that ball swung to the top of the key, he'd have been at pinch down the other side. The ball would have then swung over. He would have stepped out, and then he would have accepted this play all the way to the basket. And did I miss anything? Otherwise, we'll slide into the next one.
Hey, so I know the book doesn't talk about the 5-second count, but doesn't the book talk about strong side and ball side?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that could be where that comment came from.
Hey,
okay.
Mark, I made the comment. Your question was what made lead rotate. So I see the count. I'm thinking maybe he sees the ball settled. He sees the count. He sees the strong side. Let me come over and make it strong side. So I was just trying to think of what he saw during that situation.
I got you. Okay. So I understand the ball is on this side, but would you consider this strong side just because the ball's on there? I understand the ball's on this side, but there's a one-on-one matchup. So are we rotating at lead on a one-on-one matchup?
Typically,
That'd be a no.
I would say that if the center dropped to his right, dropped down, took a step down, that would have froze the lead in his original position. That way, C had to play the whole way, one-on-one, as Mark said. So I think stepping up from the C caused the rotation based on what everyone's saying. But if he steps down to officiate, he still has an open look and he has to play all the way. That way, it would not initiate a rotation. That's just my input.
Okay, good stuff. All right, let's go to the
The
next.
only other one thing, Mark, I would add is that there's a possibility that maybe, I don't know what quarter this is in, but the way the play was running, maybe there was a play that was run to that side. Maybe that's why he went trying to accept the play. But I don't know if that's what it was or not.
I can give you context that no, the ball is getting, but that's a good point. But the ball is getting swung back the whole time. I mean, Lanier is moving the ball back and forth. And we're in the first quarter. Good point, but we have to understand styles of play. on that, but I got you on that. All right, next one is Farron and BB. That's the next one, okay? Let me get out this. We're on number 3. Again, please make sure you mute yourself if you're not up. Appreciate it. Okay, so we understand lead has a whistle. I don't want to get into the whistle a whole lot. I want to talk about center. So let's just look at center movement and then let's talk about PCA, all those type things. You can talk about the play. I'm fine with that, but I don't want to get too much into judgment. But let's just, again, focus on center. So go ahead, Farron or BB, y'all's
I think that's been the consistent theme is starting again in the dependable position, especially when you have action going to the rim, and there's really no reason to come to a complete stop with the ball going to the basket. I would almost call it in his primary, coming out of his primary, and he stops kind of at the 3-point line extended. And then almost looks like at the end of the play where the contact could have been, he's straight line. He's actually have a player standing almost directly in front of him. So kind of glad that he didn't have a whistle, because now I'm wondering what is he actually seeing that he's putting the air in the whistle on that. Going to the basket, would have liked to see that, like, again, just a continuation of closing down as the ball goes to the bucket. We close down with it. But again, we were bad from the start. Again, what's been the consistent theme. Getting to that dependable position from the start of the play just sets us up for success.
Agreed. Thanks, Farron. BB, what you got? BB, you there?
Oh, yes. Hey, Mark, I'm on, but I can't comment because I'm on 2 Zooms. This is BB.
Oh, okay. Let's go. Is good call? Is that Ben Rivers? Is that you? Whoever good call is, I think it's Ben Rivers.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. What you got?
Mark, look at the body language from both the C and the lead. They're leaning backwards instead of using their feet to move to the spot. And they're angling. They almost look like contortionists when they're watching those plays. They're moving their bodies and not their feet.
Okay, thanks, Becky. Ben, what you got? Anything?
Yeah, I
anything
agree. I think the C kind of just gets into a position and then freezes instead of maybe trying to get an angle or to pick up that defender, and it forces the lead to go a long way to get the call.
Okay. Anyone want to add anything different to it? Okay, go ahead. Anybody?
The only thing I would add is that I really have to question whether or not C understand where his primary is. If he understand his PCA, that's his play. That's his play all the way to the to the rim. But that's the only thing I would add.
Okay. So we all agree this is center's play, right? Center's primary originates in their primary. I agree with Farron. Right away, he's not in a dependable position. This is his problem player, right? This kid right here is what causes him not to probably have a whistle or even have a no call. I'm glad he stays off it because he's not in a good position. So we'll be guessing on this play. If he's at a dependable position, when this drive goes, he takes one step down. He could then see, then he can actually adjudicate this play. I do want to talk real quick, though, just about. Go ahead, Marshall.
I think we're setting ourselves up with the C taking plays to the basket. If you have no open look, it is very hard to adjudicate a play. If you have a player's back, it's very hard for you to see the point of contact. if you look at this play, the point of contact, the offensive player is in front of C. So I'm glad he didn't have a whistle, but that's why it says we need to pregame that. And I really feel that that's doing us an injustice if we start having C taking all these plays to the basket.
Okay, but Marshall, this is a primary defender, not a secondary defender. Starts in their primary, goes to the basket. So
I get all
lead.
that.
Okay,
Does
so
he have an
who has,
open look? Does he have an open look?
if he's in the right position, he has a much better look than lead, because lead has back.
Does he have an open look right now? Did he have an open look at all on this play?
No, we said that player's in front of him. We said that he's not moving.
It's not his play. Not his play. If he'd have moved down.
Man, I'm not dealing with that. We're good. Okay,
Wait,
anybody else?
Hold on. So yeah, I want to ask Marshall. So I'm trying to understand what Marshall's saying. If we're talking about getting into the proper position, I agree with you. If you don't have a look, it's good to let's not put whistles on plays. But our goal here is to find out why we're missing plays, why we don't have a whistle on plays. The why is because we stopped refereeing. I agree with Dwayne. I think he picked a point and was like, oh, that's not mine anymore, and just left it alone.
He would have had to step down, Kenny. He would have had to step down and almost come on the floor to get that look.
Yeah, because he stopped.
Exactly, because the offensive player is in between him and that defender. He has no open look. If you do not have an open look and you have backs, you cannot adjudicate plays. You're going to be guessing.
Gentlemen, may I?
And that's it.
I realize that everybody's saying the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, we're all saying the same thing. The key is yes, Marshall, if the C moved properly to get that open look, then yes, he can adjudicate that play. That's what we're all agreeing and saying the same thing. No, we know he didn't do that in this play. That's why we're here. That's why this is the clip. We know that. We're seeing what can we do to make sure that C can adjudicate that play, because that is a primary defender. That is C's primary. That's what we're all agreeing and saying the same thing. We are. Let's not argue about this, gentlemen.
And I just have one definition. Ball side is strong side and three-man official.
All right, let's move on to the next one. All right, next one we got Jesse and Joe Trujillo. There we go. There you go, clip 4. There you go again. Mute yourself, please. I got background noise if you're not on. Okay, you guys are up.
Run it again, Mark.
Okay, here we go. Okay, you guys are up. Joe?
Yeah, Mark.
And Jesse?
Yeah, this is Joe.
Hey, man.
So to me, there was a right call by the C. The only thing I saw on that was that it looked like he was leaning with his body instead of maybe taking a step down and then making the call.
Agreed. Thanks, Joe. Jesse, anything you want to add to that? Anybody else? I don't have Jesse's. Anybody else want to add to it?
Hey, Mark. That's
Go ahead,
Mario.
Rick.
Hey,
All right, Mark.
hey, what I'm seeing, obviously, he got straight lined a little bit. He could have stepped down, but also, you know, who do you call the foul on? You know, there's two green players there, and you know, I think if he would have moved down, he would have probably seen the first contact. I don't know which one he called. So, you know, if you look at it, looking at it just happening so fast, I would think the young man to his right created the foul. But if you look at that play, it's careful. It's the one it's the middle that I felt created the foul. That's, you know, that's what I was looking at.
Okay, thanks, Mario. So he has, just as a context, he has the foul on the guy on the outside to the right. This is who the foul center has on. I agree with everybody leaning right. We've done something I'm terrible at. Can't lean, we got to move. We should have taken a step down. I agree with that. Let's talk about the double whistle. People like the double whistle. I saw someone said that lead has a better look. So let's talk primaries. Let's talk cadence. Let's talk self-talk. We like the double whistle.
Hey, Mark.
Yep.
Hey, can I, if I may, before we get to the double whistle?
Yeah, go ahead, Reggie.
And we're gonna, if I may take this, please. If we could go in stages. As far as positioning, and I just want people to answer these questions, okay? Hold on, go back to that to the clip that you had, and just freeze it. Just freeze it. Freeze it at on the block. Freeze it on the block. Right there, freeze it. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, now let's get in a discussion on positioning by all three officials. Let's start with Trail. Where should Trail be on this play?
By the 3-point line.
Three-point arc, top of the 3-point arc, and where? Where on the court? On the court or off the court?
Be on the court.
Okay, we all agree he should be down a little bit, maybe a step and a half, and on the court. We got to get better. We got to get better at positioning to officiate and to help on plays. Okay, now that's the third guy that has the last look on this play. Let's talk about lead. Where should lead be at on this play?
Closed down.
Closed down or pinched, correct?
Yep.
Where is lead?
He's too wide.
Thank you. Let's start looking. Let's start looking and working on our positioning before we even get to the call, because our positioning is what's going to make us be in a doubtful situation as far as blowing the whistle. Okay. Now center. Where should center move on this play?
Down.
To the right. I agree. I agree with both of you guys. He takes a step down. He doesn't have to lean. He has a great open look, and he has a good look at display. Okay, so now we've taken care of all three positions. Now we know why we're in a doubtful position as far as blowing the whistle, and who's going to take it to the table. Okay, so let's always, when we're looking at these plays, let's look at positioning first of all three officials and figure out why we're either missing calls, doubtful calls, or whatever. Okay, and I also like to add one more caveat. If the center takes a step down, right, he has a good look at feet for travel, because we referee feet up first, and then we go to body contact. So we need to make sure we get open looks, not lean looks, but open looks. Now we can get to the double whistle.
I got a question real quick. On the lead, would we say it would be all right for him to take a step to the left and have a better open look?
For lead, this is where I would like lead to be at. I like to be at the close down or pinch position and a step and a half off of the baseline. That gives the lead the best open look away from the players. He has a great look and a wide enough look to, exactly, Kenny, depth. He needs to get depth to get a wider look and to be helping on this play. Double whistle.
I have one last question on that. We've all discussed he'd take a right and step down, but would he be wrong if he stepped up to get an open angle? Would that be wrong?
No, that's not wrong. That is absolutely not wrong. He could step up. He can step a step and a half up or a step and a half left. Step and a half left would be the best look, but for him to get another open look, he can go left. There's nothing wrong with him going left and high. Okay, but I think the best move is to step down. But that's a great question.
And I
to
would
answer
move
that,
where number 14 moves. 14 moves to the right. He moves to the right. He gets blocked. So you got to look at what's in front of you and make that decision.
That's a great point, and I like to just extend on that. We have to anticipate player movement. So anticipate that player 14. The 14 is not necessarily going to go back on defense, right? So his movement, his as a basketball player, you got to know his movement should be to the basket, even though he's not on play or whatever. His movement should be to the right. So me anticipating that movement, I'm going to be anticipating moving left, going opposite of where 14 is going. That's a great point, Frank.
Yeah,
Mark,
I want to address Joe's real quick. And I think a lot of people, when you don't feel comfortable in the 3-man, we're uncomfortable in going lower. And I guarantee you, if you start working on that, you'll find yourself in better looks when you're dropping down a step or two from your primary position.
Kenny, let me add to that. And I think you hit it right on, is that we're afraid to go down because we're afraid to get beat. And that in our mind, we justify not going too far because we didn't get beat the next play. And if we look here, everybody's below the volleyball court line. So nobody's getting beat on this, going the other way. So don't be cognizant of thinking I'm going to get beat from the C. You're just fine. Referee what's in front of you, then anticipate the next one.
Okay, let's do this just for the group. We have a double whistle. Who's primary, C or lead? Just go ahead and put it in there. After all that good discussion, just in the chat, put C or lead on it, just so we have an understanding where we're at and how consistent we are. Okay, we're good. C's all the way. Good. That's good. Yeah, I think lead needs to be a little more patient on this, have a secondary cadence. It's all the way on the other side of the paint. So I think a single whistle is okay. Just be a little more patient at lead to assist. I think Reggie said that it's okay for lead to have a whistle, but it's more of a cadence and we're assisting on it. Anybody else want to add to this before we jump into the next one?
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, Michael.
I just have a question, I guess, for any of the veterans on this one. So far, based on the play, with it being in the paint right there, I know it's C's call. I see him leaning. If I was at lead coming over to close down, for the benefit of the crew, so this is my question, I feel like it looks better for him to be in that position that Reggie stated earlier at lead and for lead to take the call. I don't know if I know it's C's primary, and it's an across the paint call, but optics wise, I feel like he would have a better look and it would feel better in the game for lead to have that one. I don't know if anybody has anything to put on.
Mark.
Mike, I want to say one thing though. Understand that this is the first foul. I just want to understand that like lead has this defender and center has this defender. And Mike, you can take it, but I just want to bring that to the table too. The first foul is on the kid on the outside to the right. But go ahead, Mike.
So, Michael, you're talking about the better look for the game. Well, if you're leading in that position, one, you're too wide, and there's a defender right in front of you. Two, the look for the game, that C's primary. Most coaches are going to know that. Officials are going to know that. So to say the lead have a whistle for the look of the game, no. And I'm answering this question based that we're in the proper positioning, as Reggie pointed out, Mike Cal. This is C's primary. Lead should have no whistle unless C doesn't have a whistle. Like, that's where this situation, even if lead has a cadence whistle, it still C's primary, Mike Cal. So on this particular situation, no, it's not going to be a better look for the game, because a better look for the game, that ball is opposite paint. That should be slot. That should be C's call. So that's what Reggie was talking about, the positioning and knowing where you're supposed to be. If you know your PCA, whistle discipline is the first thing you're going to talk about, Michael. Lead sees that. Lead should know, I know my C's got that call, and lead shouldn't even be thinking about a whistle because he's trusting that his partner's going to take care of that anyway. Just my thought, Michael.
Thanks, Mike. And to piggyback and to give you a better, almost like a visual on how it's supposed to look, for if leader is the only person with the whistle, it should be play, finish, and then no whistle, right? And this is all happening simultaneously. No whistle, and then reaction, whistle. Reaction to the no call, right? So it almost looks like the play is calling itself. So there's a reaction, where's the call, and then the whistle hits, right? So that's how that should be looking, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, we can see they both blow on contact. So and it's on the other side of the rim, and it's up high. It's not low. So I agree with Mike and Reggie on this one. Absolutely. All right,
Mark,
let's get it.
I think you made, but you still made a good point that second defender is going to the kid on the other side belongs to the lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right here. Yeah.
Right. So if he has a call there, but I like what Michael is saying is if I'm dropped and what a coach is looking, from a basketball player's perspective and what they're looking at, that call it has just a better fit if it comes from the lead. I understand who's primary, but I'm okay with it being late.
Hey, let me ask you, the panel a question. Do we have a double fouling, a multiple foul on this thing?
Oh, get out of here with that, man.
I mean, it's in the rule book. It's in the rule book.
Yeah, but the first, I agree. Yeah, but then we get into that,
I mean,
madness.
we don't call it, but it's in the rule book.
I understand that, but that's
okay.
I'm saying
Okay.
First foul is on the Hispanic kid, the lighter kid, boom, right there on the outside. That's the foul, the first foul. I understand what you're saying, and me and Michael had a conversation about this the other day. And my advice to Michael was, we're staying away from that, and we're gonna get the first foul. If anybody wants to add to that and say that I gave him bad information, but I don't know anybody in this entire group that has given a multiple foul and given a foul to two players. So by rule, we got to give a foul to both of them. Does anybody disagree with what I told Michael the other day? Give him 4 free throws. There you go, Dwayne. Yeah, I get it
Now
though.
get determination from this angle.
The only way I'm coming with a multiple foul is if they're both intentional.
There you go. Okay.
Ever. They both have to be intentional for you to come with a multiple foul, I think.
Okay, I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, I got you though, Glenn. I get it. By rule, yeah. I mean, they happened almost at the same time. Okay, good discussion.
Correct. Don't call it.
Yeah. All right, next one. Here we go. We're doing good on time too. I appreciate it flying through it. Let's
before you go far on that, we wouldn't give them four foul. They would just get a foul apiece. That's all.
Yeah, I know. I think Dwayne was joking, right? Dwayne, you weren't gonna get 4 free throws? I hope you were joking. I know Dwayne was joking.
I'm just clearing that up.
He's looking it up now.
I'm just clearing it up. It's just a foul on each player.
Yeah, it's not 4.
Yeah, I know Dwayne's joking. Dwayne's full of
jokes. Yes, joking.
All right, thanks,
Hey,
Dwayne.
Mark, before you transition, can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead, PJ.
Just to add, I'm not going to repeat anything because we beat this one up to death. Just for Michael, plays that are above the rim, like Reggie said, we want to. I mean, this wasn't really necessarily above the rim; it was below the rim. But just be careful with being lead. and calling plays that are actually above the rim when somebody's trying to bang and dunk. Because you're going to be looking through apparatus. You're going to be looking through the bottom of the backboard and the rim. And you're not going to have a good look. So just trust your C and your T on plays above the rim. Also, Mark, I thought the C could step toward the players after making a call. He was in a hurry to take off and go report. He could have stayed there and then let his co-officials know who the foul was on and also who's the shooter. Other than that, that's it, Mark.
Yeah, good point. Thanks, PJ. Yep.
Hey, while we're in transition to clip 5, while Mark is pulling it up, I know we should be, I know the COVID and all this other stuff, but we should be getting in camp mode. So just understand that we understand, you know, all the good looks and stuff like that and what's good for the game. But understand this, as an evaluator on that play, and we have a double whistle, and lead takes that to report it, that's the write-up. Okay, that is incorrect. So in camp mode, okay, if that play happens and we have a double whistle, right, there's going to be questions on that play as to why lead is taking that play to the basket.
Thanks, Reggie. All right, next one, clip 5. We got James Grace and Jeff Jewett. All right, here we go. These last two will be interesting. You already watched it, right, Jeff? You watched it, right?
I did, real quickly.
Okay.
I apologize, getting on a little late.
Are you okay?
Yeah. My only comment there, because I think the assignment was to focus on the center, right? It
Correct.
looked like stopped a little bit quick into like where the trail is. And then the other picky thing is when he does give his report, he gives a good behind the head player control signal. I don't know how you guys are, but I know out here that they frown on giving the punch signal, which is the team control signal. So it looks like you've got player control, team control, but that's very picky, obviously, the player control situation.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. James Grace?
Yeah, it's kind of real choppy for me, and I'm trying to see it. Okay.
I'll do it slow for you right here, so hopefully you can see it better. We got a pass and crash in the middle of the paint.
Pass and crash. Yeah, he established himself before the defender established himself before the player got up. The referee was in transition. He was coming out. He was in good position. He got a good open look, and yeah, I think it was the right call. Because he was right there. He was able to see it, and the defender did get a good. He did get a good defensive position before he hit the ground.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks. You.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody got anything to add to that or anything different?
Well, I agree with Marshall's chat. It's not a player control because he doesn't have the ball. It's a crash, it's a push or a charge or whichever you want to call it. That's the proper call. But he had a perfect look at it. So in terms of positioning, he was late there, but he had an open look. But the mechanic is wrong. That's the biggest thing.
Why is the mechanic wrong? He punched.
Well, you'll see
Because
it.
it's not a player control.
Yeah, he'll report a player control foul. You'll see it right here. Player control. Yeah. So it's team control foul. Yeah, team control. Thanks, John. Anyone else?
Hey, Mark, I just want to ask, whose primary coverage area is it? And did this offensive player actually go through the defender, or did he just come to him and land in front of him? I did not see him replace him or anything like that. I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, good question.
And if I may, thank you, PJ. Kenny, I want to talk to Kenny about this one because we talked a couple of weeks ago about to and through. Okay, so Kenny, do you agree that this is a pushing foul, or do you think that he goes to and through on this play?
No, I think it's just a 2, not a through.
Thank you.
I
totally agree.
Yeah, we got to give that up to the lead.
What does to and through mean?
Yeah,
I'm
Richie, I was
sorry.
gonna
To
ask
and
you to
through
elaborate on
means
that.
two and through means okay. Let's Mark freeze it when he lands. Okay, stop right there. Now look at the feet. Look at the feet where his feet is. Now two is right where he went through, right where he lands. Through means that now my next move should be forward and past where the defensive player is. So I'm going to be through that defender. If that defender's not there, I'm moving forward through him, if that makes any sense. So if you play it, you will find out that that player does not move. He moves to the side, right? He moves to the side. The offensive player moves to the side. If I was going to and through, I would be where the defensive player is falling from. Does that make any sense?
You're saying he would be falling with the guys, what you're saying, right?
Well, not necessarily falling on top of him. Yes, I could be falling on top of him. I could be stumbling forward on to where he was at. You know, that's indicating to me that I'm going through the player. In order to have a charge, or you know, you have to go through the player. You don't.
Yes, D is flopping.
Reggie, when I look at this though, like his feet land overlapping that kid's feet. Like, what do you want this kid to do to maintain legal guarding position? Like, if you get hit like that, I know he doesn't come through him, but he comes and collides with him, and he knocks him down. I don't think this kid bails. Like, this kid's head movement, his first thing on his head is not back. Like, he got hit there. That knocks him down. Like, the guy's standing where he was standing. To me, that's still
It's a flaw.
I don't think that's
It's a flaw.
I don't think so. Like, I don't see where that guy bails and falls out of there. Watch their feet land. Their feet overlap. Where their feet overlap, if you're landing where my feet are, you come through me. Like, you're landing right here. Check out where his feet are. Check out where the guy's feet land. They land right in his space. That contact's going to knock him down. It's just going to. I mean, his feet are right there on top of him. Like, where do you want, and that inside right leg is right in between his legs there. Where do you want him to go? How do you expect him to maintain legal guarding position with that? I don't understand.
Okay.
I have to agree with Bob on that. It's a great call. I don't know where this to and through stuff came from. It's contact. Contact. So is there contact on this play?
I look forward to watching you guys call block charges in the future.
You know,
let's
Yes,
do
there
this.
is contact.
Let's do this.
Contact. That's what they're talking about, the to and through. When you displace a player, that's the through part.
That's exactly.
Yeah. Let's do this. I mean, we could go 50-50 on this, whatever. I'm not too concerned about that. Let's talk about coverage and position.
Yes.
Let's focus on those two, okay? So let's get into, just put it in the chat. We got lead or C, whose primary coverages is. Just go, and we'll kind of get where we're at with the group on this. So lead or C. It's close. It's more lead. Why y'all keep saying slot? It's center. We ain't NBA referees. Okay, it's somewhat close, okay? So it is definitely a pregame, right? This is a pregame discussion. It's transition. We say that all defenders are secondary defenders in transition. This does not originate on center side. That's when I look at this. It originates right down, goes from lead to, on trail side, all the way down the middle of the paint, okay? We've always talked about outside referees hold. I think all need to hold. If we look at this, and I've been able to look at this a bunch of times, lead is going to have a whistle on this play. Can you see him? He starts to step. Like, lead's going to have, but at center, we don't even give lead an opportunity to have a whistle, and that's going to be our self-discipline. We got to have self-talk, and we got to be patient. We've always talked about keeping the air low in the belly. I want someone to talk about positioning, and we talked about dependable position. Someone get into that, and that, right or wrong, I don't want to get into that, but positioning has been a theme. So somebody different. Do we like our positioning? What could we have done better? If you don't, let's dive into that. I'm gonna go to the contact, right? Even to Reggie's point, we need to look at positioning on. There's the contact.
If you look at this, C didn't get all the way down to the free throw line extended, but if you look at where the contact's at and you base it on angle, the geometry, you can tell Lead, if Lead puts a whistle on this, Lead's seeing the backside. So more than likely, Lead would probably call a block if you were to put a whistle on. I'm just assuming because of the angle that he has there. The Trog is in position. I just think the C is going to make that call. You need to step towards the call just to sell it a little bit more and then report it.
Okay. Anyone else? Thanks, Robbie.
Hey, Mark. So I think the Lead did not receive the play. I think if he would have already been down the court, if he would have received that, he would have been in a better position.
You just kicking people. Oh, y'all, I have to be quiet.
I can't be Robbie. Mute yourself, right?
I'm sorry.
Okay. You're okay. You're okay. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Mark.
Go ahead, Reggie.
Hey, Mark. Watch Lead. Guys, Lead should be. You guys need to start when the ball's at the going up the center lane, or is going to the weak side, to the C side. Lead needs to, when he's in transition, needs to run to the close down. He runs to the close down. He doesn't run to the wide angle and then move to the close down. You should run to the close down. If players are not in front of you, that's where you need to get, because that's where the ball is going to be going. As you see, he's wide, and then if you continue running it, he now moves to where he should have ran to.
Mm-hmm.
Had he had ran to that spot, he would have been at a position already to referee that pass crash.
The play already started, so it almost surprised him. I'm not sure he saw it all. Because by the time he got to the end line, the dribbler had already started to get his gather to pass the ball, and then when the body turned after the head turned, it was already behind.
I agree
I'm
with
not sure
you, Frank.
I don't think he saw everything.
I agree with you, but just remember this very good point on transitional plays for Lead. As we're running down to the court to get to Lead, we need to locate where the ball is at.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Anyway,
once we
never saw
locate
it.
where the ball is at, that's going to determine where I'm running to. Once I
And right-
recognize that ball is in the middle of the paint, right, I'm running to close down.
Right, and right there, the head and back is to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
The back of the head.
His head is not on a swivel at all. He doesn't recognize where the ball is at all.
Also, in all the discussions we've had so far this season, the Lead should be looking for the player who's going to cause him the most problems. And that's the person who sets up to take the pass crash. Based on all the discussions we've had on other videos, we need to look for the player that's going to cause us most trouble and who's in position the longest. And that's the person taking the crash. And you're right, he wasn't in position and he didn't get to close down. That starting position is another phrase we've been talking about, and he's not there.
Anybody want to add anything? It's good points. I think we've touched on everything as far as positioning. It's Lead's call if they get to where they're supposed to get to, right? To everybody's point, and they don't. But if they were there to accept it, who's going to have that secondary defender the longest? Or the kid that takes the crash? That would be the lead referee. Then center is a little quick on it, right? We got to have some people said on there, some self-talk, some discipline. I don't want to get into the call because we'll be 50-50 on it as far as that. But positioning is key, and these kids are fast. But I don't truly believe, and I don't want to be negative when I say this, I truly don't believe the C and the new Lead really are getting to their spots as fast as they can. You see Trell hustles. Trell almost gets to Trell before the other two are even close to their dependable positions, as you see. He's hustling in. which I think is good for trail, because let's say that we don't have, say this was a big crash, 100% everybody think this is a run over, then we may have to have a whistle from trail coming late if they don't get there, and by him hustling in and closing can assist on this play. But great points. I agree. It comes down to positioning, especially in transition. I like what Reggie's talking about. We got to, so many times we run to the end line wide and then try to get to our position, when we can definitely do that earlier. To everybody's point, head back, looking, locating the ball, those type things. Yep, go ahead. Anybody want to touch it? Yep.
No, can you just differentiate that piece when we're talking about lead going in transition?
Okay, Mark.
The difference between staying wide and then running to your actual closed down point. Like, what would
Mark? Can I take that?
The reason differentiating that one versus the other. I just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Glenn.
Okay, to Reggie's point, if the ball's wide, you're wide. If the ball's going to close down, you're going to close down. Okay, the other point is on page 75 of the manual. D, drive to the baskets. Number 2, if you read that, it tells you who has the responsibilities on the passing crash.
Yeah, we put it out. We put it out there earlier. What to Farron? What we're talking about? I want to make sure that I'm clarifying this correct. And Reggie, you can jump in if I get it wrong. We're talking about when you're going to new lead, we've got to have ball awareness where it is, so we can get to our initial setup. In this situation, the ball's coming down strong side to you, right? If the ball was on the opposite side, then we'd probably go straight to close down. If the ball's wide, then we'd probably go to home or wide on this side. But we're talking about the plays coming down. So what Lee does, puts him in a bad situation, is he runs to wide and then tries to close in to get to position. Instead of, when you get to that free throw line extended right there, you just cut this, you kind of make this diagonal run instead of going straight and across. Now you can get right to your position by the time you've turned. And DDR talked about it, run through the end line and then turn to accept the play. Obviously, we don't do that. We need to get into our position before, and then we can accept the play. Because if you see it, now he's wide, and then when the play comes in, he's then walking into the position. If he'd have just got to the free throw line and then cut across and got to right here, he'd have been turned and been in the correct spot to accept the play. Farron, does that make sense? And Reggie, is that what you were discussing?
So you're saying where the ball is actually coming down the court is going to dictate.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I wanted to also just to compact that, and just for you, is that if you have players, right? If you have players and you're supposed to be getting the close down, you have to continue that hustle. If they're forcing you wide, you have to continue that hustle to get to close down. Okay, we're not running through players or whatever. If we have a clear path, we go to close down. If we have to run around players, we run around players and continue to run to get to that close down.
Mark?
Yes, Bill. Real quick though, hold on, Bill. So, but Reggie, we agree at this point right here, now he can cut across and get to his position, right? At this point.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
all right. Yeah, got it. Go ahead, Bill.
One thing I would caution officials about is whether you get to the close down or say to the other side of the court, don't hug the end line. I would have to take disagreement with Reg before when he said 1.5 foot. The closer you get to the end line with the players down low, the less you see of the entire player. The rule books as a guide say extended off the court 4 to 6 foot. And
that's not what I said.
I believe you said you could come up, say on the court 1.5 foot, but that regardless, right? Right now, when you see this official come down, right? Although we agree that he's wide, he makes the turn, but watch him go to the close half of the end line, and those players are right next to him almost. He doesn't have as good a look as he could have if he was back another 1.5 feet, 2 feet, looking through perhaps a bigger space, a better look, than he is with the players so close to him that he has less of an open look.
That's all.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, last one. Let's go. Soupy.
Hold on, Mark.
Oh, go ahead, Kenny.
James had a question about, so we talk about the help, the lead in the front court, when we got, just regular front court status, is responsible for the secondary defender. And he's asking if in transition, does that same rule apply?
Or we just picking up primary?
You're talking about, okay, so in the half court lead as secondary defender when offensive players drive to the basket, does that apply here in transition? Correct, yeah. Yeah. Is that the question? Yeah.
Yeah, it does apply.
Yeah, and this is of course in transition we're a little more vulnerable, but yeah, if we can get to our dependable positions, right, get to our spots early, then the same principles will apply on this. This is a textbook pass and crash. Lead has to stay with the crash on this. All right, last play. Let's go. What did I say? Soupy and Tony Schaefer. All right, here we go.
Good luck, Tony.
Why can't I? Hold on. Okay. Okay, here we go. All right. I say the best one for last too.
Of course you did.
Yep. Joe Trujillo, please mute yourself. You're coughing all over the place. I don't want to get it through my COVID through my laptop, man.
The Corona's coming after you.
I know, man. Come on, Joe.
Norton antivirus.
Yep. I'm gonna do it again. Sorry.
Where's the Lysol?
Too choppy.
Have you not seen it yet, Soup? Have you not seen these clips already? God, I sent them out earlier to y'all.
I saw it this afternoon.
Okay, thanks. All right, go ahead, Tony. You got it first, and Tony.
Okay. My initial reaction was I didn't think he took it in the chest, but then when I looked at it and I saw the offensive player lean in with his left shoulder, the second look I had at it, I thought that it probably was, for me, a player control foul. Now, as far as C's position, he's getting there, but he's not there right away. He's still in the process of getting to where he needs to be to see the play, but he did have an open look, so I'm not going to complain about that. When I watched him report, he made a motion that it looked like he was sticking his chest out to the coach, explaining that the defensive player stuck his chest out, and that's why he called the block. And that's kind of what I saw.
Thanks, Tony. Soupy, what you got? Anything to add to it?
I think that C had the best look on that because lead was straight line to the other player. I think from the view that I can tell, the defender was not legal, and therefore it would have been a block.
Okay. I think everybody agrees we need a whistle on this play. I think everybody in the whole group, but I'm not even going to ask you for a poll. We definitely need a whistle on this play. This is not a no call. Anybody want to add to that? So we've got Tony believes it's a, and I'm okay getting the judgment.
When I look at it a second time, Mark, it does not look like he gets there in time.
Okay.
When I look at it a second time.
Okay. Let's continue to talk positioning. I don't mind talking. I know we're talking at center, but I'm okay talking about lead as well. And I agree with Tony that he doesn't get there, does have a good look on it, but he's still moving, right? My question is, do we think we can get there?
Hey, Mark.
I think we can still hustle a little bit more. It always comes, down to that. It's a quick steal. We got to get there, right? Go ahead, Mike.
Following big tickets talking about all three positions, starting with the lead, you see that player coming down the center of the floor. You know he's going one place and one place only. Lead gets to the baseline and just kind of stops. We know where that play is going, right? And so we have to do better to get in the best position possible to receive that play. That's the first part. As far as slot, I love the way he was center hustling to get down court. he almost should have been coming in, following that play all the way through with overrunning himself with the hustle, seeing where that play and where that drive is going. The thing we've been saying all night, the hustle, work to get there, to receive the play, and then be in the best position possible to make the right call. And that's just, I mean, that's the theme. That's the theme tonight. Just hustle and get there. That's all I got.
Hey, Mark.
Go ahead, Rich.
I just want to make this comment, and I'm going to give kudos to this crew. This crew, in all of these clips, are hustling their ass off. But I would say that with a caveat. It's an incomplete hustle. They hustle down the court, and then they stride to finish, right? So all these plays, especially the plays that are in transition, both lead, and to piggyback what Mike is saying, both lead and center are hustling to the end line, if you will, for the lead, and then I stroll, which means I'm going to be late. For the center, he isn't even getting to the free throw line extended before he's stopping. If we would complete our hustle all the way to our officiating point, starting point, we will be in great position. This crew is hustling their ass off. It's just incomplete.
Anybody else want to add to this?
Yeah, I don't know if it's still the case, but he doesn't have to get all the way to the baseline. He can stop and then adjudicate that play if he feels he's not going to be able to get there. Where if lead is working and he's hustling, but they're not hustling to their spots like Reggie mentioned. If he knew I'm hustling to get down to close down, then I think he would have had a better opportunity to make the call. I give C a lot of credit for making a call because this can't be a no call.
I freezed it here. To me, there's no excuse why lead can't get into position. He's already at the baseline. I don't see there's any reason why he can't get to the baseline to get position, to pick up the secondary defender, to get this. I agree with Marshall. Like, center saves the day on this. We need a whistle, right or wrong. It's a close one, right? We could go back and forth. My personal opinion, I think it's a play control foul. I think the knee goes right to the chest. I feel he gets both feet down. He's in legal guarding position. But it's the first time I saw it, to Tony's point, the first time I saw it, I was like, ooh, dang, bam. And I was cool with the block. And then we're able to slow it down. You're like, maybe we could have gone play control. But either way, it needs a whistle. For me, fundamentally, lead there's no excuse why they can't get to the baseline, pick up that secondary defender, and have all the information to get it. Because I feel we put C in a bad situation to get this because they're hustling, trying to get there. To Reggie's point, I agree. They kind of slow down if they could have continued to move and get there, but they're moving, and it's a quick play. I would believe it's somewhat of an educated guess on this, but this is Lead's play right down the middle. And I feel fundamentally Lead needs to do what they're supposed to do. If everybody does what they're supposed to do, right, we're trusting the system, maybe we get this play right, or it comes from the correct official. Anybody want to add to it?
Yeah, I think the system worked. I think the system worked right. Lead didn't get there to adjudicate the play. He didn't have a good look. And C came in with a cadence, right, wrong, and different. He had a whistle. We don't know why people don't get where they're supposed to get, but it happens. Everybody gets beat. Everybody. So it's just the system working. C did what it's supposed to do.
Well, I also think, I really think, to Reggie's point, is we're not doing it on purpose, but we have to run through our spots. And that's what's happening. And I just think a lot of times we're not aware. We think we're in position because we got to the baseline, but the work doesn't stop.
Yeah, Kenny, if you don't mind, you're so right, because I have that problem too, where we start to break down before we get to the baseline when we're supposed to run through the baseline. Lorenzo used to get on me all the time about that. Run through the baseline and then receive the play. That's what I was saying. If you do your work early, then you can receive the play. So if he did his work early, head on the shoulder, knowing that it's coming down the lane, I'm going to close down. I think where the mistakes or whatever started to to present themselves. And I think that's what Reggie was mentioning on the last couple of plays. This play should be lead going to close down.
And my last point to the hustle is I'm okay, with the inline slowing down, but instead of strolling, I think we need to move with a purpose like we normally do, and still we can still quickly get to close down, even if we're not running to close down. We can still, walk run to close down. If you really want, if you're really uncomfortable running to close down, let's still not walk to close down. Let's move with a purpose and get to close down, and we're still in a good position.
Do you think that maybe he just isn't comfortable, really understands what his position is at lead in transition, because this is the second play that guy's been at lead that's come out to that same position, that maybe he just doesn't, he's not comfortable, he doesn't really understand his PCA, doesn't understand the transition, where he's supposed to set up on transition?
I believe, Robbie, that that he is comfortable. I know this guy. I know he knows his PCA. I think his muscle memory and his habit is causing him to continue doing the same thing. So I don't think it's a lack of PCA knowledge. It's not a lack of, it's not being uncomfortable. I think for a fact, I know that it's a habit with him. That's why it always shows up.
Mark, can you go through the lanes on how lead is supposed to set up based on the way the ball is coming up? I think that would kind of clear a lot of this.
Yeah, we talked about it on the last one. Let me see if I can get like maybe a diagram out here with my little, try my.
I figured Reggie would have already done that.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do it. No, I can't do that. It didn't work.
Really, Frank?
Yes. Because you talked right online.
Well, yeah, because even Farron was asking about that as well, and I wish I could. We have our 1, 2, and 3 are ABC. Okay, so this one is right in the middle of the paint, coming right down the middle. I'm sorry, right down the middle of the lane. So to everybody's point, lead needs to get, if the ball's coming right down the middle, then he needs to get to close down, or whatever we call home base right in here. If the play's on the other side, he could be at close down or pinch if it's on the third. And if the play's on strong side, then he would be at wide. So in this one, it's right down the middle. I think of just a regular home, he would be fine. I don't think he typically needs to get to close down. I think he'd be okay there, but he's clearly too wide. I did want to talk about what we do with the coach here in a little bit. Someone had added that. I do want to get onto it. But what I was getting at, and maybe I'm wrong on this, is when I look at this as a system play, this should be a single whistle from lead. That's what I was trying to get at earlier. I know Marshall disagrees, saying that the system is C comes to get this. For me, I personally believe that this is a single whistle play. Lead does not help the crew by not doing mechanically and having fun, being fundamental, getting to their position to accept this play right in the middle of the paint, secondary defender. That was where I was getting at as far as that. I wasn't trying to talk bad on the lead, but someone had said, like, we've seen a trend in this. Like, knowing the two teams that are playing, this is Lanier and Sam Houston, you're going to have 10, 15 block charges in this game. You have to pregame this. You have to be aware. And I don't know if it's lack of focus or anything. I just don't know. But we can't be missing these type of plays at lead. That's 2 crashes we've had that have to be leads. So that's why I wanted to talk about center being active. Like, it's good that center on both of these plays, the last one where center came to get it. This one has better cadence. But personally, we talked about lead before, but I know we're talking about center. But we got to be better at lead. We really do. And then we have to be active at C, which I think we've done a good job on both of those. But one thing I did want to touch on is, let's talk about, and that's why I added it, Tony Schaefer kind of touched on it a little bit. Let's watch what our calling referee does, okay? We've got to understand, one, that it's not my play, right? This is, I've come out of my primary to get this, and we needed a whistle on it. Everybody agrees we needed a whistle. But then I've got to understand, I'm probably going to get some grief from a coach on this. Like, it's a 50-50 play, could have gone either way. We know Sam Houston coach is going to gripe on everything. So you got to expect, okay, I'm going to come get this. I know I need a whistle. Now I'm going to hear something from this coach. I want somebody to talk about the body language on this and if we feel is acceptable, if it helps situation, and also what's the sequence? Are we supposed to talk to a coach first? Do we need to report first? Those type things. So just look at the referee, and then someone else kind of walk us through what we could do better on this.
Okay, rewind it again to his turnaround.
Got it right here.
Watch his body language, and tell me if he's believable.
No.
He is not believable. Okay.
He didn't want to turn around.
Right. So number one, to Mark's point, it's a 50-50 play. We should expect a question coming on why the call is what the call is. Okay. So when we turn around with confidence. We don't address the coach yet. We can verbally say I'm coming or whatever, but we immediately go to report the foul, and then go to the coach or go to your position and be ready to have a conversation. Okay, but we have got to present our reporting with confidence. If you do it one more time, Mark, and watch his initial hand movement when he turns around with the palms out.
It's to the coach.
See the palms out? See that palm out movement? We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. Okay? Not on the 50-50 call. His palms are still out.
Well, he doesn't come high to report the foul either. Like he doesn't want to go there.
He doesn't want to engage. You're exactly right.
Okay, good points. I agree, George. It does look unprofessional. Absolutely, I agree.
Can I add something?
Yeah. And then also, Marshall, tell us what possibly we could do better. So add what you want, and then maybe add a better way to handle that.
The best way to handle that is, as Reggie said, you need to come out confidently. And as you're reporting, report in a way that you're communicating to the coach so you don't have the conversation. You know, white 32, whatever, block, never got legal, okay, block and foul. And then there won't be no need for extra conversation. It looks like, what do you want me to do? There's no presence. And that's what you needed on that play. Like you said, it's a bang bang play and it needs more presence. Not lackadaisical, which is what it looks like here. And it is unprofessional. You know, let's get to our spot, report it in a way that other coach hears what you're calling. That way you won't have that need to explain what you call, because you're explaining it when you report it.
I do like how long he stayed on that play. I don't think you can right away turn around on that play, even if your other official is there. So I like that he stayed. I didn't think he didn't turn around because he was afraid. I think Mike Hernandez makes a great point in that he doesn't come high because he doesn't want to come talk to the coach. But I like that he stays there, making sure everybody gets up kind of clean. Then he turns around.
I agree with you, Kenny. And also to Marshall's point, let's go ahead and not aggressively, not confrontationally, but let's walk with confidence, move forward to the reporting area. Don't stop right there. Just move, because the coach is not going to stop. So just move forward, letting the coach know I'm coming by your body language, you know, and report strong.
Well, we could have also gave just a little nod to the coach, says like a little, let me report, and then I'm coming to talk to you, or something to that fashion, so that instead of trying to communicate to him from where he's at.
My thing is, why do we need to talk to him if we're reporting the foul and we've stated what the defender did or didn't? Why is that conversation needed?
Good point. Good point. Have him call a timeout.
Well,
there's nothing wrong with the reporting area. The reporting area is fine. It says above the 3-point arc, the box. You don't have to walk all the way up to the table. That's when you get into more confrontation. So you stand there and be strong with your presence. And that presents time. Then as you get the time going back, you tell him to talk to him. Then the next day, he'll call a timeout. You explain it to him.
And believe me, if you actually go talk to him, you appear less confident. If you
Yeah.
go down times and then he may want to ask, then fine. But if you run right to him and start explaining, you don't look confident. You look indecisive, and you look like you're trying to convince him to agree with you.
And I'll close real quick because we're a little over 8 o'clock. I agree. I think it's, to Reggie's and Marshall's point, if you can verbalize what happened and then the coach just doesn't, if they accept it, then you're done. I also agree with, like, if you come down the floor and they want to talk about, coach, I'll be over there later to talk to you, maybe next time out, next dead ball, because they may want to continue to talk about it. But to their point, that could just fix it right there and then. 32 wasn't legal, coach. Okay, they've accepted it. Then we move on. We don't need to do anything else. But that coach may want to have another conversation with you later, but definitely don't go over there during the free throws. Say, coach, I'll be over there later. But that's a good tool to use early. You may not need to have a conversation after that. So I agree with both. I understand people may want, if the coach wants to talk to you, may want to go over there and diffuse the situation at some point. But I think that you can use those tools early. So I agree with that. Good stuff. All right, I'm going to close it. Appreciate you guys jumping on. It'll be saved, and I'll throw it up on YouTube, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. All right, stay safe and take care out there.
Thanks, Mark.
Good night. Thanks, Mark.
All right,
Thanks,
take care,
everyone.
guys.